A few topics here that we have to deal with.
Then Jim needs one.
First item on our agenda is designating the Town of Webb as a tourism promotion agency and guarantee of funds. The funds are basically what used to be our I Love New York funding. The grant is approximately $54,465. Over the past several years, the Town of Webb has served as our tourism promotion agency, and Mike Farmer is a gentleman up there that handles this. We have a motion on that. Okay, we have a motion from Ray, second. Fred, is there any discussion?
Talking about tourism promotion, don't you think this would be a good time to discuss whether or not we should implement a bed tax to help finance promote tourism?
If that's
Not
something,
germane to the discussion.
We're talking about tourism.
right,
Well,
but
bring it up later, another.
if that's something actually that this committee feels is appropriate and can be put on the agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah, I think you should.
But right now, yes.
Do we know what they've done with this grant in the past and how they've rated whether they've been successful in using it?
Basically, from what I understand, well, the I Love New York funding has changed around quite a bit lately, but at one time they could appropriate it for different items for different organizations within the county. Now I believe it's got to be a county-wide setup as far as how they do the advertising.
Do we have a plan from them on how they're going to use this?
No, I do not.
So we're just saying take it and do it as you wish, or do we have an idea of how they might be using it?
Well, I guess, that's enough. Your official grant award. All right, it says here the official grant award will be issued upon approval of a marketing plan set up through the Department Division of Tourism. So Mike has to meet their criteria from what I see here.
How much is this for, Bruce?
Pardon?
How much is it?
A couple of years ago it was $280,000. Then we haven't had the money for the last couple of years. There's been no money out there. I think everybody remembers that. Now they're reinstituting it, and this is a countywide program. They'll involve the chamber, but again, I think Bernie alluded to it, the rules are getting tougher. The money has to be there. You have to come up with the money first, and that's caused problems for some of our smaller people who do want to advertise. And they're making it very tough to advertise for X. You've got to basically advertise as a region. And that changes things too. Right.
So it's going to the Town of Webb. The Town of Webb is going to be the one coordinating it for the county?
Yeah, what they try to work with is GEMS and Waters, of course, Water Safari and those places. But the trick is to be more of a, and again, I'm probably not saying it better than most people would, you can't just say for the Water Safari. They won't approve, the state won't approve the funds for that. It's got to be an attraction, a group of attractions that brings people into the region.
So we're picking them because, well, when it was I Love New York, they were the ones that administered for us. It dried up,
Right.
and now we had no money for this last year. Is that what you're saying?
What was in there?
I don't think it was last year.
We had no money last year.
I'll check for you.
I'm just wondering, have they said to us how they might be proposing to use this? Because this board is a web board.
It's a
Yeah, and also I have to ask, if Pat was here, he'd be throwing this down at us, that the town puts about $30,000 in that to run this program.
The
Bernie,
Town of
why
Webb
don't we
is
go on, Bernie? Why don't we go on until Pat can come back? Because I'm sure he can shed a lot of light on this for us.
Very quickly.
One of the things here, just well, exactly. This year, you are again required to submit to the Division of Tourism a standard template that you will use for ads placed and funded by your grant.
And I think we did get a small program for late in the year for like 25,000.
I think there was some money available.
I'm just curious what they've done with what they've had in the past and what they propose doing with what's in the future. It's not an attempt to confuse them.
They've given money to the Chamber of Commerce down there. They've given money to GEMS.
But again, like Jim said, they're going to more of a regional approach.
Yeah.
And some of them have bigger matching funds too.
Oh, they're all matching.
So
They're all
that
matching.
when they're putting in,
This is a matching grant?
Yeah, so if Bill Jennings or someone wants 10 or 12,000, they've gotta come up with that money up front. But again, it's very difficult to advertise just one project in one place.
Is it all advertising that they're doing with it?
Usually, that's usual.
advertising.
Promotion.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I call advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Was Pat gonna add anything? Dennis asked that Pat might be able to.
I just came in after the interview, so what was the question?
Basically, Mike Farmer's putting in the request for the $54,465 in New York State matching funds through tourism and.
Oh, well, that used to be that the state would say everything's okay as long as you could put together the funds through people, but now they want the county to be able to guarantee the money. So I think last year might have been the first year, the year before. But you're only guaranteeing, obviously, what you can guarantee. If there's nobody out there that wants to do any of the programs, then there's no matching funds. Like Jim said, the people have to put up the matching funds in order to get matching funds. So if people aren't putting it up, then and they don't get it. But this allows the TPA to be able to get the money in if and when they need it, much quicker than to have to do all that paperwork that is, suggested of the bureaucracy within the government, state government. So it just makes it easier for the TPA, and then it makes it easier for those people that want to do the matching grants.
I just wanted to be certain that it was a county-wide approach, and that the access was the county would go, anybody else in the county would go to web, and I think Jim mentioned that be it the Gems along the Mohawk or something, then access it with matching.
Well, you can't, individuals, they don't let that happen anymore. It's gotta be a county-wide approach.
Right.
But the individuals can go to
Absolutely.
access the resources.
They could work with them, absolutely.
Right, thank you.
But again, you've gotta come up with that money, which makes it a lot more difficult. When we used to get 280,000, Pat, I mentioned before, and the rules weren't as strict.
Right.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Passed. Okay, our next item, confirmation of the IDA project. This is the price chopper in Little Falls. We're writing to the Herkimer County Legislature, consider authorizing the chairman of the legislature confirm the finding of the IDA as far as proposed project in Little Falls regarding the price chopper. The IDA, as far as the seeker and everything, is going through, and there's no problems with it, and now they're just seeking.
I'll make my promotion.
I'll second it. Okay, any further discussion?
Who seconded it?
Great.
What's the dollar amount on
We're talking some big bucks in there.
They're investing $6 million.
And maybe did.
330 wasn't it? It's in the millions. They're investing $6 million. They were investing $6 million.
I guess we can, who asked that question?
I don't have it in my notes, but it's,
It's not in.
Is Price Chopper owning the building?
No,
no,
they were there on a lease.
urban renewal.
I don't know. Who's getting the, what are we given?
It's a company, the name escapes me, but it's a leasing, development company.
Right.
That,
So Price Chopper's not getting it, it's the leasing company?
I guess it's called the Price Chopper Project, but it's a good question.
Shopper Square Project.
But we don't know who the firm is.
LLC.
TRB Associates.
TRB?
TRB Associates.
T like Thomas?
Yeah.
Yes.
TRB. Is that a local firm?
The person at the IDA was from Schenectady. And again, I've never talked to him, so I don't.
Came through their headquarters.
There's a $6 million project.
And what does it include that we're giving, just to understand the impact on the local side? Is it sales tax, forgiveness during
There's,
construction?
Sales
What is-
tax, there's also a mortgage recording tax,
Pilot program.
and a pilot. I don't know.
Is there a pilot?
I don't think,
Didn't come up with
It did not come up.
the IDA.
That isn't
just the mortgage, sales tax, and we did the C Corp
Yes.
paperwork for them.
So how much is the value of that then? The sales tax? You said, I mean, you're talking, when you say the value of the project, is the value of what we're giving them to go forward with it, or the impact on the community for the project? I mean, the positive economic impact, what are you throwing out with millions?
The complete project is around, I believe, Bob Strader's right, around $6 million.
Yeah, that's what
That's the construction project.
It's the construction project, but the sales tax is not on that complete $6 million. It's just on certain aspects of the equipment
Yeah.
It was in
It was-
35,
yeah.
39, something like
I
that.
think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, he's right about, what was the figure?
I think it was like 330, 335 dollars.
The impact would be around $335 revenues to the county for the sales tax.
That we would not.
Oh, that we would not get, I'm sorry.
It's a benefit to the company.
Expense.
335,000?
I think that's what it's.
That's the mortgage and that's the sales tax. Those are the only two components?
Okay. Any further
I
discussion?
didn't get the answer. I'm sorry.
I believe those are the two items as far as.
The sales tax and the mortgage tax adds up to 335,000?
Because you were looking at.
I'm surprised that it would be that much.
300, sales tax came to 320,000. Equipment and building material.
Any further discussion?
How many jobs are we expected to bring?
65 new full-time equivalents, 20 full-time and 90 part-time, and that comes out to be 65 full-time equivalents.
And then the quality of life for the city will fall to that
Right,
price
and
tag,
there would
great.
be a new facade, new building, they would split those two buildings.
Yep.
Up, and there would be a parking lot pretty much in the middle.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Passed. Okay, the third item. On September 27th, IDA received a resignation from our board, John Pesek. This is something we had mentioned before that, and his resignation will be as of 12/31/2012. And the IDA board is requesting that we confirm Dominic J. Frank to fill that vacancy. And most everyone here should is probably familiar with Dominic as far as his community involvement and whatever else. I have a resume here if anyone wants to take a look at it. And he would be, we've spoken with the IDA and I've spoken to him. He's very willing to volunteer to be a member of the board. I think he would be a very positive member to the board. And,
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
okay, we have a motion. Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Further discussion? Yes.
I think Dominic Frank is eminently qualified. He brings not only the experience and one of the larger employers in our area with as well as brings government and the impact on some of the decisions the IDA can make in terms of pilots, et cetera, and its impact on local government. I would also, though, point out that since this is the body that makes appointments to the IDA, it's great that they advance a name. I would hope that we as a legislature or your committee could issue a notice to the media about potential vacancies to see if there are other people that would step forward and either nominate others or themselves to bring their talents to the table. I think maybe the last time we appointed someone, I can remember asking about the number of vacancies, and I believe Mr. Pesek had indicated that there would be other positions on there. Can we know how many places of directors there are, and are there other vacancies to the number that we normally have there?
Chair myself, Ms. Davy, Dave Luce, Dick Collins, Bob Payne, and Mike, Warnsdale, so that's seven.
All positions are filled.
They are, this would fill the last position.
Right.
I mean, I recognize that they work, the board of directors would work closely together. I just think that we need to be able to get a message out to the community. It is volunteer, and I'm sure it takes a great deal of time and dedication, but there might be people in our community that are associated with business and other interests that might be willing to step forward too. And I think having the IDA advance the name to us, they should, of course, advance interested parties, but it is this body that does it. And I would hope that we would take the opportunity, even now, as we announce, if you announce and you approve this and you announce it perhaps to the media, suggesting that in a release that interested community members advance their name for future vacancies, just so that we have an assortment of people that might be interested.
Actually, this has been probably a long time from I know John turned in his resignation September 27th, but he unofficially had notified, or people were aware of it, and they've been approaching numerous people. I mean, I guess it wasn't a formal thing. And trying to get volunteers to do something like this is like trying to pull teeth.
Again, the media is a broader spectrum, and it's great that the IDA existing board is asking, but perhaps in the community, there might be interest in it, and I would think that it would be great to have
That's
it.
something that probably will be brought up at our IDA board meeting.
Well, I'm not suggesting, Mr. Chairman, that it's the IDA's responsibility, it's the legislator's responsibility.
Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. One other. Oh, yeah, okay, we have the RCIL contract with One Stop. We'll let Jim run through that. He'll be more familiar with that.
Yeah, I think this has been a long battle, to be honest with you. To get funding from RCIL, we had a contract for about 10 months of last year, full 7,000. They've come back for years, they did not pay anything. Karen has submitted a letter with an agreement with RCIL to keep them in the One Stop for $3,500 this year.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, second? Ready?
Will they pay that bill?
Pardon?
I believe then they would pay the $3,500. I don't think they'll pay the $7,000 if we try to force them.
Further discussion?
And we think the fixed cost and the variable cost is worth it for us to take the $3,500.
Are they available resource they have there?
Yes, for handicapped individuals, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman?
Provide a very good service.
Yes.
We have other paid tenants, if you will, or
Yeah.
contributors
The majority
are paying the 7,000.
paying $7,000.
What do you think will happen now? If they're not-for-profits, I mean, the state of New York might not, but if they're not-for-profits and we're saying, we're charging you 7,000, and here's a not-for-profit that we're saying you can pay 3,500, I know if I was on that not-for-profit board, I'd come knocking on your door and say, I only wanna pay 3,500.
Well,
And what's the impact if that happens?
well, I think, to be honest with you, we've had a discussion, I think, for about the last year and a half, that we're struggling to keep the One Stop open. I think everybody knows there's been several bullet holes that have been shot over the past 2 weekends.
No, I didn't know that.
Into the front of the building. There's some real concerns that we have, the contract's coming up, Mrs. Rose. We don't think we can financially stay there for too much longer. The money, coming from the feds, it just isn't there. We believe we'll take another hit this year,
And our lease is up when?
the end of this year.
December.
Right.
And did we already voted to renew?
No,
We did not vote to renew.
no.
So are we gonna be in holdover?
We may have to go month to month, but Karen and myself are pressing that issue.
How many other tenants do we have?
I'll take that for you.
Okay.
Jim, doesn't RCIL have a challenge to provide an outreach to the community?
They have
And this is their access to that outreach.
And the other thing, Dan, they just opened up a new office in Herkimer. So they're paying for an office in Herkimer, and they're trying to stay loyal to the one-stop concept by coming up with the $3,500 to stay with us. It'd be very easy for them to say, if we, you know, if we don't take the $3,500, they'll say, thank you, the county made the decision, they didn't want us, we'll go back over here on German Street.
That's where they've been in German, right? What, they opened up another office
Well,
besides?
they opened there
Oh,
last,
that's been there a couple of years. huh?
after the last contract.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
That's a big part of it. We're trying to take the $3,500.
Anyone else? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Passed unanimously. I have one other item. We received a resignation letter from Vince Sal from the Solid Waste Authority. This was as of November 30th. So we do have a vacancy on the Solid Waste Authority Board.
Can we put a notice, Mr. Chairman, in the paper on that? That's a pay, they get stipend with that, that's not like the other one where it's free.
Well, yeah, there is.
I think they get 105 a meeting.
$105 a meeting.
I'll take
And
it.
travel.
I'll take it.
Really good
I'll
program.
take it.
I'll take it. I think it's every 2 months, I believe, isn't it?
It's over $1,000
No,
a
he
year.
was considering.
Or $1,000 a year.
I give it about
No, it doesn't hurt to say
I do it for nothing.
that there's going to be a vacancy and interested parties should let you know by such and such a date.
Notice in the paper and,
That's a story,
I do it for
not
nothing.
an ad.
It's a
Yeah,
story.
I'd like to see a
okay.
private hauler
Be picked up.
considered.
All right, so.
I don't think there is one on that board.
That would be excellent.
Well, it'll be released, I mean, it's being released in the
A
meeting
private
right
hauler
now,
would be
so
excellent.
paper and whatever will be picking it up, so it will be excellent.
Yeah.
Any other, business? If not, motion to adjourn,
Right?
second? Those in favor?
Paper.